what to say, really. I have a chicken made out of cake. From the front, she's a little bit scary. Maybe from all sides, she's a little bit scary. I found myself on a baking forum on Reddit the other day and came across the most delightful post. The person posting made a cake that seemed like relatively simple flavors, but what was special about the cake was that it was in the shape of a chicken. It was so whimsical and so cute, and I knew immediately that I had to give it a try. So today I'm wishing you a happy Valentine's Day by making you a chicken cake. Well, I made a chicken cake. In the end, this cake is gonna take me 3 days to bake. On day one, I start by baking the cakes and making 5 pounds of buttercream. I have 2 9-inch cakes, 1 6-inch cake, and an 8-inch square cake that I'm hoping will come in handy somewhere. The cake is set aside to come to room temperature, and the buttercream is stored in my fridge to chill. On day 2 is when the fun begins. I start to plan out the cake. I make a chicken cake to-do list, including all of the different parts and pieces of this cute little chicken cake. I draw a sketch of what I want my end chicken to be and pull up some inspiration images. And finally, I create a carving plan that will turn my 4 differently sized and shaped cakes into a chicken. Yes, I'm very aware how ridiculous this sounds, but I think we're gonna have a winner in the end. I am deep in the throes of chicken cake prep. It sounds so ridiculous. I'm gonna try to make some modeling chocolate. I have never done a super detailed, like character carved cake before, so this is a first for me. So the modeling chocolate is gonna be used for a few different things, and mostly around the chicken's face. So the eye, I'm gonna do a couple different shapes to make what looks like an eye. Then there's a couple things going on underneath the chicken's chin, and then also the comb, which is the thing that's on the top of the chicken's head. So that is what I'm using the modeling chocolate for. And oh, possibly an egg, if I have the patience and the energy and the time. So I don't need a ton of modeling chocolate here, but the ingredients in the recipe that I found, which I'll include in the description box below, are just corn syrup and candy melts. By weight, we're going 4 parts to 1 part, and I'm just gonna do 4 ounces to 1 ounce because I don't need a ton of this. The parts are pretty small. And my intent is to color this after I mix it up, but we'll see if that actually works. So all I have to do is melt these in the microwave. I'm gonna go 30-second bursts, just melt it gently, and then I'll heat this a little bit and combine the two. Chocolate is melted, so now we combine the two. And I'm just mixing this until it's like a soft serve consistency. There we go. That was fast. Now I need to let it set. So I just unroll a piece of cling wrap. And flatten it out so that it sets a little bit faster. And this goes off to the side. So today is my favorite kind of day in the kitchen, and it's the kind when I kind of have a plan, but I don't really know what I'm doing. It could go really well, or it could go really poorly. I have a chance to be creative, and I just get to play. Those are my absolute favorite days in the kitchen. And so to that end, I'm gonna turn what you see in front of me into a chicken. Can you see it? Don't you see it? Don't you see it with these cake tins? So these are the size cakes that I have going on right now. And my thought is chicken body, chicken head and neck, chicken tail with a corner of the square cake. Do you see the vision? I don't really see the vision either, if I'm honest with you, but I am all set up to try to make it happen. And I'm just gonna start carving, stacking, filling. That's kind of the first step. I actually started this process yesterday, baking these cakes, making a whole bunch of buttercream. Most of it's in my fridge. I've made some modeling chocolate. I have my plan down. Chicken cake. This is my architectural drawing. And this is my decoration plan. It's all very scientific and it's foolproof. There's no way that it could go wrong. But I know at least we're gonna have a cake that hopefully kind of resembles a chicken, and I think it's gonna taste delicious. I'll leave all of the recipes that I'm using in the description box below. I've used this cake and buttercream recipe 100 times and it's foolproof. So this is a great one to start with if you'd like. I'm gonna start with these layers, and those are gonna be my 9-inch cakes that I'm gonna have fill and then carve into kind of a round-ish shape. So I'm gonna start there using my trusty turntable, little offset spatula. I have a cake board here that'll make it easier for me to transfer this cake all around because it's gonna be going in and out of the fridge. And then let me show you what I'm working with as inspiration. So this is my inspiration setup. I've got it there, my turntable here, my cakes, all of my plans. But generally, I'm gonna try to make a chicken that looks like that guy. We'll see how well I can do. So I'm gonna cut a little bit off the top and then cut them in half. And to do that, you just hold a serrated knife parallel to the bench, I'm trying to go around and meet my line on the other side. And then I'm gonna carve an egg, I think, at the end. So I'm just gonna keep the cake scraps. These are actually really good for cake pops as well, or just for snacking. You can use them for all of the above. Okay, somewhat flat cake now, and I'm just gonna try to cut this one right in half. If this isn't perfect, it's no big deal. We're gonna be carving these cakes, so buttercream heals all ills. So now I should have, that's 2 layers, but I'm just gonna take it off, put it down on the bench, and move on to number 2. Perfect. This square cake, I'm actually not gonna trim at all because I'm gonna be carving it quite a bit. I'm sure that I'll end up trimming the outsides off. And I want to have as much oopsie cake, leftover intact emergency cake in case I mess up, so that I can patch anything that needs to be patched or take a different tack if my chicken is not chickening as much as it needs to chicken. Okay, so I'm gonna create some space for myself on the bench, move all of this off to the side. Now, here we go with the cake round. So this cake is just a basic white cake, and this is a chocolate buttercream. I made vanilla buttercream, chocolate buttercream, and then a chocolate coffee buttercream. My intent was to try to get really different colors of the buttercream to show different colors of feathers, but the chocolate all ended up relatively close to the same color. So we'll just do our best when we get to that point. So do you see a chicken body here? Okay, so I think I need to round out the sides of its body a little bit. I'm not an expert carver. This is me kind of making it up as I go along. That feels better. That's feeling better. But you know what I think we might need? Yeah. I've got to have a transition there. Okay, so I think I'm going to affix these guys. Looks exactly like a chicken. So let's see. How do we want to do this? That I like. So how do we get it to stay? That is the main question I have. We might have a duck cake. Okay, I gotta crumb coat this bad boy because it is getting warm. Things are gonna start falling apart. I'm just gonna go in gently with the crumb coat. And the goal here again is to lock the crumbs in and also to give us a little bit more of a stable base for all of the decorating we're gonna do. So I'm just being exceedingly gentle. Okay, it's getting too warm. You know it's getting too warm when your buttercream starts to follow the spatula and not the cake. So we're not fully crumb coated yet, but I'm gonna toss this bad boy in the fridge. Do we see it? It's starting to come to light. Okay, this is going in the fridge and we will revisit this in a minute. I'm gonna start working on some feathers. I'm gonna try to make some tail feathers. I was originally thinking I was gonna temper chocolate, but that is a hard and frustrating process for me, at least. Some people are great at it. It takes me a couple times every time I try it. So I'm gonna use these dark chocolate candy melts or melting wafers. They turn out actually just like tempered chocolate. They're a lot easier to work with. The only other things I have in front of me are some tools from a little cake decorating set that I have, and I'll link something similar in the description box below. And then a piece of food grade, food safe acetate. This is where I'm gonna put the feathers and let them dry. I'm gonna try to do some straight flat feathers and actually try to curve some of them a little bit and see if that works, just because I've never done this technique before, so I may as well play around with it. But the first thing I have to do is get this melting in the microwave. And I'm not gonna use the whole thing. I'll probably use about half of this bag since I already have a lot of offcuts on this cake and I'm using tons of ingredients already. Don't wanna be super wasteful. So I'm just gonna get these in a bowl and get them melting. Still a ton of residual heat in this bowl and in this chocolate. So I'm just gonna stir for a while because apparently this is a product you do not want to overheat. Okay, that's nicely melted. My thought is that I'll dollop a little round bit and run my palette knife through the chocolate to spread it out a little bit. I've got some other tools in here that might work too. I'm not mad at it. This is working pretty well. I am gonna cut one more little piece of acetate and see if I can't do a few that are shaped. Feathers, feathers everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna set these aside to dry. Cool, okay, we're back to our modeling chocolate now. And I've got just some gel food coloring, yellow, brown, red, orange. So I've got a pair of gloves here because when we mix the dye with the modeling chocolate, it's pretty messy and you don't want to dye your hands. But first we've got to get this into modeling chocolate form. And the way to do that is to knead it together. So what I need is to make a beak, to make some red stuff, the wattle, the comb. I need to make an eye, and the eye is gonna have 3 parts. Some red, some orange, some black, or maybe brown, as the case may be. Okay, I'm gonna pull off a beak-sized piece. Just a little bit of brown in this, maybe a tiny little bit of orange. We're going for like an ivory browny color. So I'm gonna make a beak out of this, and I'm gonna do it pretty quickly because the heat of your hands impacts this chocolate. I think it looks something like that. Okay, I'm gonna start there. It's getting a little bit warm, so I'm gonna start there. Next, so we have first go at the comb. This is a first really rough outline to go under the beak. That's the beak. Outside of the eye, pupil. Does it look like a chicken? Okay, I'm done for today. So what that means is I'm gonna get all of these things wrapped up, gonna save these colors, keep everything out. All in all, we are set up for a full assembly day tomorrow, and I'm just gonna go over and check off my list and see what's left, but I'm feeling pretty good about today. We've got some more carving work to do, which is what I'm most nervous about, because honestly, that thing in the fridge doesn't quite yet look like a chicken, but we're getting there. So, okay, that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow. All right, y'all, we are chicken cake day 3. So I finished the crumb coat on our chicken cake. Here she is. I made 1 additional batch of buttercream frosting. I'm really worried I'm gonna run out. I did a lot of thinking about how I'm going to make feathers. I also had a big realization, and you may or may not see my realization, but my chicken doesn't have a head. I don't know how I neglected to make the chicken have a head. So that is the first thing we're gonna tackle today. I figure I need to get maybe 3 to 4 more inches, kind of in a similar shape as this, and then we can carve the head a little bit. But luckily I have all of this leftover cake. I think that's pretty good. We do a little bit of rounding on this top piece and just try to fix it so it's straight using buttercream. I think that's right. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with where that is right now. And if you look at the way the frosting kind of naturally did its thing, that's the way I'm gonna make feathers. So I'm gonna kind of use my palette knife to just like scuff up the frosting, but I've got to add 1 more layer first. Oh my gosh, this is getting so exciting. Okay, this needs to go chill in the fridge. I'm gonna clean up and get ready for the final layer of buttercream and the decoration. We are rocking right through feathering this bird into the fridge. It's time to feather our bird. I'm so excited. Okay, so I've got what I thought were 2 different colors of buttercream here, but they ended up being the same color buttercream after hanging out in my fridge for like 2 days. So I made another batch of vanilla buttercream this morning, and I think I'm gonna do a swirl. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but it's what I'm gonna do. I kind of like that. So I'm gonna try not to mix it too completely so that I get a little bit of a swirl. And then the photos that I'm referencing, the bird starts out kind of dark. It's dark across the top, and then the underneath is a little bit lighter. Yeah, we'll just try that, see what happens. And just to give you an idea of what I'm gonna do for the feathers, I think it's gonna be a combo of just kind of strokes like that, and maybe some strokes like this too. I'm pretty happy with that. Look at those little feathers. Cool. What do we think so far? I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. So now it's time to decorate feathers and face. Start with the feathers. I think they might be easier. My thought is just to kind of affix Maybe a couple along the side and some on the tail, just a little bit of whimsy. Not that we don't have enough whimsy in this cake. So to just show you how easily these peel off with the acetate, it's just like the most simple thing ever. They're a little bit delicate, so I have to be careful with them. So let's see. So I think I want the ones that are kind of sloped like that to be on the side of the cake. Something like that. It's a chicken cake. Okay, now comes the moment of truth. We got to do some work on the head here. This is ridiculous. What the heck? This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever made. My chicken has the buggy eyes. Does it look like a kindergartner made this or a full-grown adult? We have a chicken cake. Okay, I'm gonna stash it in the fridge for 1 more minute and then I'm gonna try one more thing and then we gotta call this one done. Cake scraps, leftover buttercream. Basically gonna make a cake pop egg if I can get this modeling chocolate to come back to life. Okay, modeling chocolate is rolled out. I have to be cognizant that I don't have a ton left, so I have to be thoughtful about what size egg. Cake scraps, frosting, hands. So it has like not even a full good side, but we'll see if we can make it look real. Okay, I'm gonna put this all together and show you the final product. I cannot believe we made a chicken cake. Well, I made a chicken cake. I don't know what to say, really. I have a chicken made out of cake and a very misshapen egg. That egg has been through it. My chicken is sitting on a bed of coconut and I'm worried her beak is gonna fall off at any moment. This was so much fun to do, actually. I haven't really carved cakes much, if at all. I have some work to do on her facial features. She's a little bit bug-eyed. From the front, she's a little bit scary. Maybe from all sides, she's a little bit scary. So normally at this point, I would cut into the cake and show you my masterpiece, but not yet. I'm gonna have to wait and hope that this chicken will be able to fly the coop with me and make it to my weekend destination. So I'll show you what she looks like when we cut into her a little bit later today. So I made a chicken cake for you and for me for Valentine's Day. I hope this is the most unique Valentine's present that you receive. Have you made a chicken cake before? It's the most random question I've ever asked, I feel like. I'd love to know though, what is the most fun novelty cake that you've ever made? Please tell me in the comments down below. For now, my chicken cake and I are signing off, so thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more from me, please stick around and subscribe to the channel. My chicken and I would love to have you. I'll look forward to seeing you here next time. Cheers. Oh, I can't take myself seriously. I made a chicken cake.